Okay, g'day everyone. Welcome to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, please find the link in the description and go subscribe. It's amazing. We'll just get straight into the introduction. I just want to welcome everybody, any new listeners. And g'day to Shelley and Lynn and Desert. I love how you're in my chat. I love it. Anyway, we'll get on with the introduction. The signs of the times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time. Who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were, and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the earth-based misnomered UFOs which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through three main all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cybercode has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology, and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define their true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. Desert discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end, they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it, but they are cleverly leaving us in the dark, hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us. From the chemtrails to fluoride in the water, to tainted vaccines, to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we, most all, are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate, but they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. Wow. Sorry, I've read that so many times, but wow. I was starting to get a little bit emotional near the end there. I apologise. We don't have much time left. I'd like to introduce Desert. How's it going, Desert? Speaking of not much time, Lynn's already mentioned part 5 of Deborah's series of videos. Yeah, so g'day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a good day. Maybe we should start saying that's a bad day. What do you think?
No.
Something like
No.
that. It's a bad day on planet Earth. Something like that.
It's
Maybe
a permanent bad day on planet Earth.
Yeah, and this thing about no worries. Okay. No worries, you think. Maybe you should throw it at the end. No worries, you think. Maybe that would be a little better way to say it.
Well, see, normally it's either no worries or no worries, mate.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah. Okay. And so, is that the first mate or the second mate? Never mind. So
I just got that.
Yeah. Well, and apparently Lynn had not heard of Deborah Tavares until I shared with her the first video, and then she had great respect for Deborah Tavares after that, because I've been following Deborah along with Dane Wigington for about a decade or more, and then Deborah disappeared for a couple of years, and we thought maybe something happened to her, because she's a targeted individual as well. Obviously, doing this type of work, you would be. And especially to her extreme, where she's at. Yeah. And that's why she shared that information on part 3, I think, on targeted individuals, because she didn't mention it, but it was because she also is a targeted individual that people could put 2 and 2 together. That's a nice promo for both Deborah and Dane. Ninja, thank you. That's a great compliment, because they're on the cutting edge. We can't begin to do what they're doing. Deborah is one dynamic researcher, and that Dane is one researcher and presenter as well. They're both presenters and researchers to the hilt on attempting to Dane is hopeful about saving the world to a certain degree. Not that it isn't in other words, to survive it. I think Dane's premise is not that we can stop what's happening, but there are things we can do to survive what's about to come down. But for Deborah just thinks, I think, probably that people deserve to know it. She realizes it's bigger than all of us. How do you stop a corporate octopus that's encroached from the top to the bottom every facet of our life?
Controls the whole world.
An industry.
Yeah.
So what can one peon do other than to share the word, share the information, and then hope that, in other words, because that was my motif, so to speak, that I just think that people, and as it says in my quote you read, that people deserve to know. That's all the reason I do it. I think good people deserve to know, because then they'll love their little ones better, their precious little ones that don't deserve what's about to happen, and the innocence, and to then hopefully recognize that there's more to life than the party that's going on.
Exactly.
And the diversions, and that it is about working on the inside and overcoming the self, and putting on the nature of the one who made all things, because that's the only place love can come from, is from him. And so it's a tough world, and as it says, most people are not going to make it, and we buy into all the delusions, and so I have you want to jump in on that? Because I have a few movies I'll give out to everybody that they can watch that are referred to this weekend by Dane, and also by Deborah, if somebody doesn't have the time to watch all of Deborah's work, or that part 5.
Desert, I think you've said it all. I'm still I'm still kind of. I'll get into the swing of it in a minute.
All right. Yeah. Well, I know you're having a day on planet Earth that's not the best right now, as well, because you're targeted, and apparently you've been going through that. Forgive me for mentioning that, but
that's okay.
So StopTheCrime.net new is her YouTube channel. So go to a YouTube search, but you have to include the word new, because I guess they took down her old channel. I know Dane Wigington is the name of his channel. I think they took down geoengineeringwatch.org on YouTube, because I remember watching on that channel. Then it was gone one day, and I did a search for Dane, and I found Dane. So they're on the threshold of being taken down. So you got to get them where you got them, and listen to them. Get it in your in your head what they're talking about, and Dane mentioned a documentary, and I'm watching it. I'm about a third of the way into it right now, and it is one outstanding. It's mostly aerial shots. They take you around the world through a time, showing how the Earth is, evolved in a very simple fashion, not in, and it's no one has done it like this before. So everything is absolutely stellar. And then when you see some of these primitive civilizations that are on our planet today you never even saw before, it's a total mind blower throughout. And it's called Home. So the way to find it, because I just put in Home and it didn't get it for me because there's a lot of Home will bring up a lot of different productions. So put Home in quotes, single quotes, and then put after that then documentary.
Oh, that
should bring your thing.
That's in the description. They can go straight there. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good, thank
that
you.
one and Deborah's one. Number 5.
Oh, so you watched Home? You watched some of that?
No, I put on the start of it, and then the targeting started before I called you earlier.
I see. Okay, well that's great. This is one to relax to because it's just the graphics are so beautiful, and the documentary is so compelling. It's one where you can relax and
okay.
It's not like
I'll put it on after.
I haven't gotten through all of it, but.
I'll watch it after the stream.
I'm sorry?
I'll watch it after the stream. It sounds nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it shows modern society as well. I don't know where it's going, but I'm caught by it, so I'm going through it. And then the other one he mentioned is Earth and the American Dream. I haven't seen that, but his other recommendations, Earth and the American Dream. Okay. And then Deborah mentioned in particular. I'll mention City 40 last because I'll elaborate on that a little bit. But the Origins of Oil, recommended by Deborah Tavares. Origins of Oil falsely defined in 1892. Okay, Origins of Oil defined in 1892. That's a YouTube. Okay, you can find it on YouTube. I don't know about Earth, that other one, Earth and the American Dream, if that's on YouTube or not. But it's a documentary. That is a documentary. Okay, so that's a key word. And then this other one Deborah recommended is Vice. Something about how the Vice President Dick Cheney will work behind the scenes to pull the strings, and because the president George Bush Jr. was pretty much a mind-controlled wonk and a puppet head, and so Dick Cheney was the power broker, first as secretary, then as vice president. And he's well identified in the book by Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips on Transformation of America. Him being she was a presidential sex slave, and so
I've seen her talking
sex slaves, and he hunted her down out in the woods, to play games and with his rifle and all the the stuff that went on. If you ever wanted to read one book to know what was Washington D.C. was really all about, what the government was really all about, then you want the inside scoop. And Kathy O'Brien had it. My co-host and
wow.
Mark Phillips. But I never did myself. But my co-host did on our network when we were producing one back in '98, I think it was. But anyway, so get the book Transformation of America. Some people read it as Transformation of America, but it's really two words: Transformation of America. And so there's three words, 4 words. So anyway, get that. And she broke. She came out. In other words, it shows that the mind control program can be you can be set free from it. And at the point, she said, when they were trying to tell her she was having a baby lizard, to make her part of this other new sensation like David Icke, Rockefeller, promotes as the lizard people. Well, she says, there was no way they could convince me I was having a lizard for a baby. So they're only so good at times. Everybody breaks the mold, and so others are truly mind control slaves. But for some reason, Kathy broke the mold, and then Mark, at the right place at the right time, rescued her
Yeah.
and deprogrammed her and set her free. So it's an amazing story. Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips are on the YouTube and on the internet. So just check them out. Okay, so you want to see Vice, the movie, is recommended by Deborah Tavares, and then this one really got my attention. I've got to see this one. Apparently, it's on Netflix, and it's called City 40. And if I ever heard about this scenario before, I don't remember. But so anyway, somebody snuck into this place called City 40, and it's a citadel, a city, and it's closed. It's closed, and you can't leave it. There, people are born there, and it's sort of like what the Truman Show, right? That's basically what it is. It's like the Truman Show. I guess that was their joke about it with that movie. But City 40 is where some woman snuck in and took the video, and then got out and had to escape from Russia. Otherwise, something would have happened to her. So and apparently, from what Deborah said, that there are.
She showed a map. She showed a map on her video. Yeah, they're all over the world. That's what I was saying to you before.
Yeah,
there's one above me and one below me. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, apparently there's many isolated cities that we're not aware of.
Yeah.
And so it's rather bizarre. And there's some that are vacant, like in China, and there's one in Mongolia that's like the classic new world headquarters that's just waiting for Bubba to go take the throne or something. But yeah,
maybe that's the one yeah. Maybe, sorry, I keep butting in, but I did look into the empty cities a few years ago, and yeah, I know about the one in China, and maybe the one that you just mentioned is the other one I was thinking of. Yeah.
And City 40 is city, the word city, and then space, and then 40. Okay, the numeric 40. So check those out, ladies and gentlemen, because they tell us, of course, there is no secret. It's all an open secret, and we can know what it is they intend to do with all of us. And it's a very tragic world for our families.
Yeah. Can I? Yeah, I just want to add to the City 40. I'd never heard that term before. That's why I was my jaw hit the floor when you started talking about it. That's why, like, I was just connecting dots in my head. It's like, wow, I've seen stuff on empty cities a few years ago. Looking at the map on Deborah's video, there's one north of me and there's one south of me. They're all over the world. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I sent you the link, Desert. I'll put it. I don't know if I want to put it in the description actually. As propaganda, there's an entire YouTube channel dedicated to City 40. It's called C40 Cities. It's a YouTube channel, and it's propaganda promoting it exactly for the reasons that are stated on the links in the description, like the videos, to conquer climate change and like how to deal with climate change and all that sort of thing. Like, they're promoting it. They're promoting these cities, and this the one that I watched was just like an ad and advertising, and making it all seem good, and how it's going to create peace. You know how they with the propaganda, it's all about peace and making things better. I was astounded. And this was made 2 years ago. That's what I was trying to get to. This video about it was made 2 years ago about C40 cities. So I sent you the link, Desert. If I put it in the description, I'll make sure I state that I am not condoning this particular channel. It's all propaganda, and it's just.
Well, then let's not promote it. I don't want to draw people to disinfo.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
business that they want to search for it, but don't post it
Okay, I won't put it in the description. But yeah, it's just astounding. Like they've covered everything. They're very thorough with their deception. The mind control. They make people think it's going to be a good thing. Yeah.
It's identical to what I was saying about the Sumerian clay tablets, all the legacy of Sumer, and the Aryan ancient Aryan origin of our culture has been sliced and diced, and so they had and so this Viper TV has the best graphics. It's the most wonderful, beautiful presentation, and then you find out that they're carrying the false narrative of the true origin of Sumer that evolved after the Great Flood of the Mediterranean Sea, and instead they say that no, these are the sky gods that lived to be 30,000 or 120,000 years. They reigned. This is also these bizarre concepts of these rulers that ruled on the throne, ruled for 50,000 years, and all this other nonsense. And that's so. If anybody can think logically, they should see that extreme notion right there destroys its validity. But because people can't logically process or ask the right questions, right, to get the right answers, they don't know what questions to ask because they stopped asking questions a long time ago, And so the same with then these these ruling kings that rule for 50,000 years or whatever. Then they came from the Biru, but then Baba Gandhi says no, I think you need to go down to Baba because they even give this narrative. They created a whole story behind this false narrative, and it's the best presentation you ever wanted to see, but they're not smart enough for me,
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Anywhere else on this issue we want to go before I get into words?
No, I would love to get into words, because I have one, but I'll let you get into it first before I start.
Well, no, you go first. You're producing the program here, so ladies first.
Well, okay. Thank you, Desert. Sorry, it's a wonderful world. I need to giggle. Sorry, it keeps me going.
Did you say it's a wonderful world, Mrs. Smith? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I started to, but then realised I was quoting you, and I didn't want to.
Oh, okay, yeah. It could have created a new phenomenon.
I'm sorry.
And when I forgot to mention, of course, don't forget when I talked about Smith being the secret agent's code word, along with Jones and Johnson in particular. Well, don't forget, all the archaeological evidence of all our ancient past that they don't want nobody to see goes down the toilet at Smithsonian.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Agent Smith, I presume. Oh, wasn't it Smith in the movie The Matrix, right? And then there was a whole bunch of them? How many were there, right? They were all, at one point, Mr. Smith, right?
Yes. Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Schmidt in German, just rearrange the letters,
Wow. Okay, that's not what I saw. I don't know how I'm going to explain it now. I had it all perfectly connected in my head earlier, but I did write some things down. Okay, I have been thinking a lot about the word mean, MEAN, as in the two different ways that we use it, like as in when you mean to say something or when you're being mean to somebody. And yeah, I've just been thinking about that. And then I realised that if you rearrange the letters in the word mean, you get name.
You get what?
Name, N-A-M-E.
Very good.
Thank
That's
you.
the anagram.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and I don't know where else to go with it. I went on
Well, I got the answer. Go ahead. You continue. I just want you to know I got the answer already.
Okay, well, I'll just add a little bit because I don't want it to get too complicated. it's just really hard to express what I've been seeing lately. I was looking in your dictionary, and I came across, I didn't come across mean, but I came across me, and how it said, referred to the mother, which is what you were talking about on Forbidden History Live, the last program. Mother, and the I, AY and EYE, and that got me thinking. I don't want to go into this too much, and I know some people aren't going to like hearing this, but it got me thinking, ME, and seeing all the symbolism as well. ME, as in Mandela effect, which I think is an extreme version of the targeting and the mind control, and implanting what they want into people's heads, and that got me thinking. Sorry, I'll just
mind control, but great diversion as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, and confusion. And then I saw that's where I saw all the symbolism, like with the Mandela symbol and the symbols at CERN, like with Shiva at the front. And what else have I got? And the moon, like just thinking of all like circles, the round things. And I've got a little note here. I think because I thought that I was part of this phenomenon at one stage, because I saw the stars change in the sky, and I was very afraid and confused. So I've experienced it, and what I'm seeing is, the creation of confusion. Some are waking up and thinking that they're shifting like to different worlds, and they're being kept in this little Mandela effect bubble, and some are just being imprinted with like false memories and things, being messed with, and they're stuck in the little Mandela effect bubble. So anyway, that was all. that's all I've got written down.
Okay.
So okay,
right.
name.
Well,
yeah.
Why don't you see if you got a word graphic and switch it out, and I'll give you the explanation of this word you were looking at. It's Aurora, the eye of the royal center, and it's appropriate for this type of word, because mean. So when you said the word mean, how did you mean it in regard to meaning like I'm mean to you, so I'm not treating you well?
I was thinking of both ways. I was thinking, why does the same word mean complete opposite things depending on how you say it? And then I saw the anagram. I was just thinking of...
what's the other way then? What's the other... somebody can be mean to somebody, but then what's the other way?
Do you mean what you say?
Oh, meaning. There. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of that one. So there's three meanings. Let me put an ing after that meaning.
I'm just... sorry, I'm listening. I'm just going to try and get the dictionary up on the screen. Wish me luck.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Okay. So meaning... and being mean, but there's one more meaning behind the word mean. And do you see it, or can it come to you?
Not right now.
All right.
I'm thinking.
It's the word time. Mean is time.
Oh, it is too. Wow, it doesn't get used very often. Yeah.
Right. And,
wow.
And so, like, if somebody said, "Why are you being mean to me?" Then in another word, they're saying, "Why are you doing this to me this time again?" Right?
Wow.
Right. So there's the algorithm of that word. But so when you rearrange it, I'm now going to prove that it reflects upon time, and we can follow the trail back when we know the meaning of the letters, because you said the anagram is name,
Yep.
and name is at the lowest point. Remember, I talked about title versus name, and we can see in the word title, tit, right, which means point, right? That's why in Montana you've got the Grand Tetons, right? What it's saying is the tips, right? Because the mountains have those little points up at the very top, and they go up, a long ridge.
Wow.
And so they're called the Grand Tetons, the tips, and so that's where obviously why we refer to a man and woman's breast, the same way, because it's the tips.
Wow.
That's the way you would really say it, the tips, because it's pointy. And so therefore, the word name clearly is an opposite of title, tip, and as I said in the Black's Fourth Dictionary here in America, we use Black's Law, the Book of Black Law, where words seem to continue to change with each edition. Rather interesting. But in the fourth edition of Black's Law Dictionary, it says that a name is a corporation, or a trust, and so a name is at the bottom, right? Because obviously we're above a corporation, so we become a corporate entity within their legal structure, legal sleeves, So name is at the bottom, and that would be then the distinction between sun and moon. We know that the sun is at the top and the moon has no light, and therefore it's the opposite spectrum, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So what is the prime root? If you take away the vowels, what's the consonantal root of name or mean? What's the consonant? The root, the parent root consonant. No vowels.
The N and the M.
Thank you. MN. The MN
MN.
is the prime
Okay.
root, the parent root, and it's the same word for moon then, right?
Wow, Desert.
Okay? And so when we're in the scripture, when mankind is being called son of man, there's your MN again. It's a code for the seed of the moon, the children of darkness, the people in the fall, mankind, that need to be second born.
Wow.
The first time they were born in the mud.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was cool.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
Don't forget, you heard it here first.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
I tried to
so
get
any-
I tried to get the desktop up, but I apologize. I don't want to
Yeah.
I don't want to shut the stream down by accident.
Okay, and so there's other derivatives, of course, of this word, but like reading moon backwards, you can get gnome. There's your word for another variable in name, right? Nomenclature, and so yeah, it's just you can play Scrabble with it, and actually, I think that we should have a game on the Indo-Germanic. That'd be really fun for learning it.
Yeah, that'd be
But
amazing.
No time for that, though.
That would be the best way of learning it, though. Wow. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So two words that from the last broadcast on Forbidden History Live that I just thought I'd mention, real quick. One, that way, wanted to talk about the word atonement, and then after the program, sometime after the program, I thought about it again. It was when I reviewed it, because I try to do a review if I can of the broadcast, just to make sure I got all the questions answered, or to all of a sudden I see things I didn't see before, they
Yeah.
pop up.
Yeah.
So I still learn by listening to the programs, I really do, and I continually see it. It's such a big horizon to pierce. So the word atoning, then I saw immediately. Wait a minute, atoning is a tuning. When you're atoning, you're a tuning, therefore representing the eye for looking. You're looking to tune, and or the A represents the sun. You're enlightened for tuning, atoning, and so literally a way it could be said in this original thought then would be atoning means tuning the eye. You see?
Wow.
because you're making it, you're getting right, right?
Yes. Desert. Sorry, I'm just. You'll see why I'm.
Yeah.
You'll see why I'm a bit delayed at the moment. There you go. Just
Self examination.
wow.
Self examination is what is required to
Yeah.
atone.
Yes.
To
Yes.
be in tune. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have mist. I talked about mist on the other program,
Miss.
and I was in I was in the book the Sumerian dictionary, and it was because I was trying to share with people about the fact that Adam was made not from red dirt, but from the red fiery magma from the breast, from the breast of the mother, the volcano, and so I in the book the Sumerian dictionary, right at the very beginning, they show Sumerian hieroglyphics and Egyptian hieroglyphics next to each other, showing the parallel between both civilizations, that they are indeed connected. One's on the east, one's in the west. Basically, one's on one continent, one's on the other, and but they were sister states, and they were both Aryan by origin. And so when I talked about, like in Revelations, it says that we go back into the lake of fire. In other words, we just go back into the mixing pot. Our bodies are dissolved. It's a metaphor for our bodies are dissolved. Metaphysical transformation when we really go back to dust. But the volcano creates the picture of where we originally came from. Why do we go into the lake of fire? Because we came out of the lake of fire, of creation. And get your PDFs and read it for yourself. See description for details. Very good. Thank you, Ninja. Very nice.
No worries.
Very, you put a lot of work out. I know that. And so and then I went back to tell everyone to go back into, I think it's the second chapter of Genesis, and you'll see where it says, and a mist. So after the land and water are here, nothing else is here. Nothing. No life. Just land mass and water. And then it says, then a mist came upon the land. And so clearly, it sounds like the word mystery. When you look in Philo, he says a fountain came forth. So now we're getting a little better picture, because a fountain is not water. A fountain is a creation of something, a creation. And therefore it's physical or solid. And that's where we also get the word, by the way, for font. Font being when they used to print books in the beginning, they would gather all the different fonts and put them together to create words.
Fountain pen, Desert. Fountain pen.
Oh, fountain, right, the fontaine, because that's go into the font. What is
Wow.
holds the ink? The font is what holds the ink.
Yes.
It's called,
And the ink flows.
I never saw this before. It's called the font and pen.
Wow.
These two items, font and the pen. Thank you, Ninja.
No worries, Desert. Wow, this is
Not
amazing.
worried at all. I'm just digging it. Right. So the word, the original word in the Indo-Germanic was Akha. Akha is the best way to pronounce it. A-K-H-A. And it said, and so I went back in the book and looked again, because I was trying to figure out how the word Akha meant eagle, and then mist, which said was a passageway. Mist stood for passageway. And then all of a sudden I got it, because I was confused. I'm saying, how does an eagle compare to a passageway? You see? And this shows the problem with transliteration and with piercing back into the past and trying to interpret what they really meant, right? Because they're giving us the clues,
Yeah.
but not one of the transliterations is correct. Are you ready for the correct transliteration of Akha?
Am I?
Claims to be for the word mist, which is a passageway, and also for eagle, because both the passageway and the eagle represent another idea, and it is the word the I. That's corruption in modern, but it's the AY, it's the A, but the I, because the passageway is a narrow and straight passage. It's a tight root, so it's like an eye of a needle, right? An eye. And so the eagle flies higher and sees farther than any other creature. So that's why he's then regarded as the eagle, because the A represents the eye, spelled A-Y. And so literally, eagle and mist connecting with passageway is correctly defined as the eye. That's what the bird is. That's what the passageway is, right? You see it?
Wow.
It's the eye. So what it would have said if they used the word mist in Revelation, in Genesis, in the second chapter in the Alwistic text, and a mist came forth. Well, what it would have said then in that aspect, an eye came forth. What an eye? What do you mean? A passage, a vent, something that came up out of the ground. You see? A volcano.
Yeah, I was going to say it, but I was waiting for you.
with a round,
Wow.
all round like the oculus of an eye, right?
Yes, yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
So there it is. You know, we have
And that's the
helped
fountain.
them out to perfect the Aryan dictionary. They didn't even have. They had the most important element of it all, not even there.
Yeah.
They did a good job, but they gave me the pieces that allowed me to make the connection between an eagle and a passage, and it is the eye, because you're going through the eye of the needle when you're going through the passage, and the eagle sees farther. He is the eye. That's because he flies higher than all other birds and sees farther than all other birds. You see, he's the eye, the A-gull. The A is the eye, the eye bird. That's another way he would have been called. The eye bird is the eagle, right? You heard it here first. Don't forget.
Indeed. Wow.
Yeah. So I get excited about these ancient wars. I
So
don't
do
know about
I.
anybody else, but you know, this is like the best Indiana Jones you can get, because this takes us back further to our original thought. You see, we want to, if we want to transcend the world, if we just want to collect trinkets and put them on a shelf, I guess then we could just go ahead and dig dirt and think we're really important, you know. But they're the ones that, you know, dig it up and then they give it to the interpreters, the one who can transliterate the symbols on their findings, you know. So really, the etymologists and the lexicographers are the ones who really then, you know, come up next for this all the discoveries. So I take advantage of everybody else's work, you know. I'm just participating in the program, you know. And but this guy Waddle, he was an absolute genius, because he's the one that clarified that these are not aliens that come down from outer space, as he says right here. Remember, I said the word alien and Aryan.
I
Here it
remember.
is, the Aryan origin of the alphabet, disclosing the Sumero-Phoenician parentage of our letters, ancient and modern. And he, you know, so where has he been all these years, all my life? I just got these books just over the last few months, you know, and it came to remind me of an axiom I was trying to write, and I was saying, you know, people can spend their time collecting material possessions, but in truth, we must collect our thoughts instead. That's what we got to do. We got to collect our thoughts and the original thought, because that is the way back home. What good is digging dirt and just putting something on a shelf so that everything there then can go back to dirt and just, you know, let somebody else? Because there ain't going to be no more discovery anyway, because our world's over, you know. So we need to have the eye in order to see.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Thank you, Desert. Amazing already.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
Right. Okay, so before we move further, then, do you have a 2-minute song? Will you have a short song?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm just
I
going,
just want to
scrolling
make
up.
myself, and I'd like to just take a quick break, because I got some reading to do.
I'm
Next, we're going into Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths, and you're tuned in right here to for the Forbidden History Chronicles on NinjaCat 111. I hope you're telling your friends about the podcast. And yeah, the time is short, ladies and gentlemen. Very short.
Yeah. It so is. Yeah. Wow. Okay, we'll go to a quick break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. It's only going to get more awesome. And I'd like to just welcome everybody again. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you on the other side of the break. Okay, welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with NinjaCat 111, that's me, and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel, and also Forbidden History Live, which is where he's currently broadcasting from. If you haven't subscribed to those channels, please do. I'm just looking for the information. That's not it. That's it. Please subscribe, and go back to on the Forbidden History series, go back to June 21st last year, 2018. You will be wowed, constantly wowed. It's amazing. It helps any new listeners that are just tuning in now to get the picture and understand a lot of what we're talking about on the current streams. And welcome back, Dezert-Owl.
Thank you, Ninja. And just as I was using the restroom, I thought of the interesting play on words. Because I was thinking those who are in tune, those who are tuned in, are getting in tune.
Wow.
Words reversed. Yeah.
Well, when
that's
you
what's really going on.
wow. When you were first answering the atonement question, made me think of frequencies as well. Like that's what this world is all about. That's what the words are. They speak. They're alive. They have frequency. And getting in tune. Yeah, music has frequency. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, words are the DNA of life, and they can kill or they can give life.
Yes.
We have the power
Yes.
within our Aishavors to do that.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so now we're going to go into the dictionaries on scriptures and myths. And I have a couple pages tagged here. So let's see where we're going here. Let me back up. I got 3 tabs here, so I've been hanging on to them. Let's see where we're at. Okay, one, we talked about the mother on Forbidden History Live on the last program, and now I have here the Heavenly Maiden. And so right out the gate, I see the words as being a code or corruption either way. Heavenly being the illumination of the light of the sun, therefore, in the sense of the maiden meaning therefore virgin. So it means the virgin light of the sun. Heavenly maiden then would be the virgin light of the sun. Well, thank you for putting that quote up there like that, Ninja. You've really been doing some work since we last did a program, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, I want to do more.
Okay.
I want to do more work, but
Right.
I do what I can. Yeah.
All right. I wish I could pay you to do this. You do such great work. That book is really, really fantastic. And I noticed that this type of graphic, when you first were using it, and I think you used it in one of your shorter clips, I just want to mention that also makes a very good opener to a program. You know, that to me is a very excellent, and you can have words are the DNA of life as well, and that would be for segments, for the short segment programming, maybe, or what we were talking about. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, good idea.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right. It would be the perfect, because you have to have something special. Well, of course you have that other one with the spinning galaxy. That one is really fantastic too.
This one.
So you got a couple now. You got a couple you can use.
Yeah, you'll see it in a minute.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. The check's in the mail. I wish. All right. So Heavenly Maiden.
Sorry, carry on. I'm just going down the list and I'm trying to find where I was at with your dictionary. Yeah, please continue.
You're getting trigger happy now.
I know, right?
Good to have you. Welcome to the broadcast. All right. So the Heavenly Maiden then is the virgin light of the sun. That's what Mary, correctly Mariam, represented, the virgin light of the sun, because they were following the lunar cycle, the occult. That's why they blew the ram's horn at the when there was a new moon, because they were under a lunar cycle. They were at 13 months in the year, And so, yeah, this is what nobody talks about and is relevant to our history and to the history of these traditions. So, okay, so let's see what it says on the heavenly maiden. A symbol of wisdom, the Buddha. Okay, the Buddha is the flower of the sun, the Buddha. Or and that's also then the symbol of wisdom. The logo is the symbol of wisdom. Light is the symbol of wisdom. So that's what I just said, the heavenly maiden. See, I just gave the interpretation of her name. That was the very first definition we read here. A symbol of wisdom, the Buddha, or of the intuition, Buddha Manas, which approaches the perfected soul as it rises to the higher consciousness. So it's like coming over the horizon, and its objective is high noon. And it approaches the perfected soul. So that's what we're waiting for in the metaphor when we come to the knowledge of the Maheshiach. We're waiting for the sunrise. We're in the astral plane, meaning we're still in the gray zone where we're following the stars. We're able to read the stars to go back home at night, and we're just waiting for a sunrise. And that sunrise is synonymous with Lazarus, Ulazar, come forth, rise from the dead, because we're in the grave with Yeshua till we have worked out our own salvation, soul novation with fear and trembling. Then we come out of the grave, and so that is symbolic of the sunrise. And there was one more, and symbolic also of rising up out of the water. That's the first rising that is symbolized as that. And then the symbol, therefore, also of receiving the Spirit. You see, so all of these different pictures are all saying the same thing in the metaphor. So, so the soul, as it rises to the higher consciousness, the highest consciousness is represented as high noon. Advancing, and of course they taught us to hate the sun. Don't you dare look at the sun and appreciate what it means, because you must be a sun worshiper then. So okay, so let's continue here. Advancing with this sweet scented wind, there appeared to him what is his religious merit in the shape of a beautiful maiden of 15. Actually, Mare was 14, so that's interesting right there. Then the soul of the righteous, perfect in the flowing light, Ashan, spoke to her, asking, What maiden art thou, whom I have thus seen as yet the most beautiful of maidens in form? Then answered him his own religion. I am true, perfect, and complete youth. Your perfect thoughts, your perfect Eshavors, your perfect action, and who am thy, and who, I think it should be who is, it says who am thy own religion in thy own self. And that's from Hal. The NinjaCat Nask. So I'm not sure what tradition this is. Rather interesting, though. The advance signifies the upward track, which is now pursued by the soul. For to the higher mental nature, a pure and deep sense of truth, then, which may be apprehended through the intellect, is vouchsafed. The maiden, of which the soul is a part, is none other than the wisdom nature, lovely beyond conception, which is presently to become united with the operations of the self through the mind. The ego of the perfected soul now supplicates the higher wisdom of the self.
Are you there, Desert? Wow. Did anyone else hear that? Yeah, my phone's been going berserk today with certain trigger words, and apparently they just hung it up. Just please excuse me while I call Desert back. Wow. I'll just put on a little bit of music. Yeah. Desert, I'm calling you back. 1 second. G'day. Yeah, there was a massive, like, you know how it does that electrical buzzing? There was a massive one, and it disconnected, like, at the same time, so, wow.
Oh, it's like surge, like a power surge or something?
Yeah, like my phone's about to blow up.
Wow.
Yeah, and this one
That would
disconnected it. So,
okay. Well, we're back, and that's the good news. And I guess give us an audio check out there. Let us know we're coming through on the stream okay. And for an audio check, please. Okay. In the meantime, I guess I'll pick it up I'll just back up to where I think. Do you remember my last words by any chance?
I did, but I don't now because I got distracted. I apologise.
That's okay. Well, I'll just go right here. So, so the maiden, of which the soul is a part, is none other than the wisdom nature, lovely beyond conception, which is, and that's the wisdom nature. The wisdom nature, being female in the metaphor, is lovely beyond conception, which is presently to become united with the operations of the self through the higher mind. The ego of the perfected soul, there's that dirty word again, the ego of the perfected soul now supplicates the higher wisdom of the self, requesting that its nature may be declared to it, that we could discover our true self, our true nature. In response, the higher self now makes known its true being and shows that the inner nature, the better and the truer self, is that which alone is real and known. The divine or complemental half of the perfected soul is but the result of those perfect in the flowing light efforts which have been made on the lower planes through the agency of the lower self, struggling upward
Wow.
to meet the wisdom above. Yeah, we know about that. Now, the approach, yeah. And I'm going to stop there for a minute, and I'm just going to say, so, I wrote something down, and where did that, my note go here? So, remember when I talked, because it was talking about the discovery, the discovery of the higher self. And so remember where, I've constantly always say, we have to know who we are, where we are, why we are, when we are, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was actually only half of it, and I just saw the other half today. Because not only do we have to know about who we are, what we are, where we are, when we are, and why we are, but we also have to know about who he is, where he is, why he is, when he is, and what he is. Also, right?
Yes, we do.
He being who?
He being our father.
Okay, that takes it back to primordial root. Father is first, and the mother came from the side. The woman came out of the side. Father. So who he is, why he is, why.
Why? You're asking me. Okay. Because if we don't, how do we know what to do? How do we know anything about anything? How do we know how to get home if we don't know about him?
Okay. Well, the why. Okay, who he is, why he is, why he is. I guess it's really how did I get here? Because you have to almost reverse the question.
Yeah, I asked that question when I was 5 years old. I did. Nobody could answer me.
Yeah. Well, because he wanted to bring. The only idea I get behind that is that the Great Father, in his greatness of who he is, saw himself as being one alone, and hardly can we begin to fathom, his nature beyond this universe. It is beyond our comprehension.
Yeah.
But the point is, it appears, as I see it, and based on my, in-depth reading of so many of the ancient writings, is that he wanted to bring forth a people that would be like him.
Yeah.
Therefore, as not to be alone, but to have to know the element of love, and then to bring forth those who would want to love, as he introduces us to his Trevane love, his divine love, and then and so he okay, so that's the element that he wants to bring. And so this is not the true creation down here. This is the proving ground.
Yeah.
And therefore, there's another world beyond. So we wake up on this planet, and then we realize, well, there's a better place to be. And so we struggle within ourselves to overcome the dense matter of deception, and then to put on the greater light of truth and enlightenment, and then and focus only on the other world to live in that other world while right here, right now. And so who, what, and okay, who, what, why? I should have wrote that down, but okay, why, who, okay, who, and so what? The next question then is what? What is he? What is he?
That's a great question, Desert. I see him as a lot of things, actually.
Okay.
And energy and light and.
That was the right word. That was the right word. First out the gate, energy.
Okay.
Right? Pure energy.
Yes, I was going to say pure next. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, but go.
Oh, I'm just wowing. Please continue.
All right, but he has a dual nature because we see him as father and son.
Yeah.
We a father invisible and manifested as the logo, which is symbolic of the son. The son becomes the great image of the father and the son. And son is S-U-N-S-O-N are the same word, and that's another trickery that they played on us, right? One word, but different spelling, and yet it's the same word. So, okay, so who is he? Why is he? And so as in this duality, not only is he energy then, in this energy, but then he is also the first atom. He is the first atom in creation, and the first atom is the perfect creation because it was made by Yahweh, the Father, and not by Elohim, because the first atom becomes the great Elohim, Elohim. That therefore out of it becomes the duplicate, and the duplicates are secondary in rank because there's only one perfect atom, A-T-O-M, who is Yeshua, and that's why the atom A-D-M, A-D-A-M, A-D-O-M, could not fulfill the perfection in the beginning and actually institutes the symbolic nature of the fall, right? So because he's a duplicate. So the duplicate is not the original, right? We want the original, and so that is Yeshua. And so therefore, because he is the first Adam, therefore, by nature, he is all atoms. He is all things. And that's why he knows how many hairs are on your head, and that's why when he says you didn't visit somebody in prison, you didn't visit me. Why? Because we are him. We are a produce of his great, phenomenal creation, right? We're made up of him, if he's the first Adam, right?
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So let's see. So who is he? Where, and so, okay, so the next question is, where is he?
He's here with us.
Okay, and where, be more specific, where is he?
Inside us?
Not if we're in darkness. He wants to come inside of us by spirit. But in the meantime, in other words, we just defined it, actually. It's a trick question.
Yes, it
we
is.
We just defined he is the first atom, therefore he's all atoms. So where is he?
Everywhere.
Thank you. In all of creation. He's everywhere. His spirit, the creation is, again, female. So when he became the first Yeshua, who we regard as male, became the first atom, therefore he is right out the gate, male-female. You see, he's male-female, and then out of his side comes the duplicate of the atoms, the duplication of atoms. And so therefore the duality, depending upon structure, right? Depending upon structure, we can say, oh, that's a male or that's a female, right? It's same atoms, right? We got the same makeup, just a little different arrangement, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm another you. And,
that's funny when you say that.
And actually, the man has the female hiding in him, and the female has the male hiding in her.
Yeah.
Just like testicles could have been the ovaries, but they, so they could. There was a choice made, and one becomes the other. So that's the thing. The breast, men have breasts, but they don't bring forth milk. Women have breasts, they do. So these are just possibilities that we could have been one or the other, but yet the other is hiding in our makeup, nonetheless. So we have, therefore, identifying the fact that we have hiding within us an androgyny, which means that the polarities come together and can become one, and that therefore is symbolized when we receive the great breath of the wind and fire, or the Holy Spirit, because the Spirit is androgynous, both male and female. The separation creates the division, and when there's the division, then both halves are incomplete, and therefore that's why when these two halves come together, they can create life. And so, because the Spirit is both male and female, then the life is complete. The life is complete, and it is alive, and forever in that aspect. So we're symbols of this higher order, and that's what it meant when it said we're made in His image. You see?
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
And so let's see. So who is he? Where is he? Okay. So when is he? When?
Throughout all time, as we
always
know
was
it.
and always will be. Right?
Yes.
And in the present moment, here in the present moment.
Yes.
Okay. And so who is he? When is he? Where is he? Why is he? And so I think we covered the main basis. And so that became the important factor that I didn't mention when I was saying we have to know who we are, where we are, when we are, and why we are, but we have to also know who He is, when He is, why He is, and where He is. Right? If we don't know these things, and not to mention, but also to be able to define Him.
Yeah.
Right? To define Him, how do we define someone so fantastic and so great, so complete, and in all things? This is what really we don't get from the pulpit. Really, right? We don't get it. It's just they're reading that palpable and corrupt translations, but they can't define the metaphysics of the one, because they are not anointed. They are just regurgitators of a lie, and the lie is not a part of the truth. The truth is not a part of any lie.
Yeah.
So we have to have a separation now when we want to have a connection and make a fulfillment. We have to first have a separation, and that's why He said we have to be a separate people. Separate yourselves from the dogma and the lies, and come out and be willing to stand alone with the truth. Okay.
Yeah. Also made me think when you were talking about how the preachers just preach the same thing, and how you just quizzed me just then. That wouldn't happen in mainstream religion either, would it? Would it? I'd imagine. And I appreciate you asking me those questions, because that helps me learn new things and realize truth, and it helps it sink in. Because this past year, all of this is like, for those who don't know, I am very new to scripture. Like, I barely set foot inside a church. I tried to read the Bible once 20 years ago. I almost did it, and have referred back to it in the past 20 years, like have referenced it regarding the times that we are in. But this past year has been a complete eye-opener, and Desert, I really appreciate your little pop quizzes.
Well, I knew you could handle it because you've been listening for a year now, and I realized that it didn't matter, because if you couldn't define it, then I was going to do it for you.
I know,
but I just wanted to. But you see, you prove out that because we're identifying things as they are in nature, and therefore once you get the picture, you don't forget it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it shows you're getting the picture in different ways. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Right. Is it a check in the mail?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Just cancel mine out. I'll keep mine and you keep yours, and we'll be even. Right?
I think we're.
Right. That's all right. We'll cancel the debt on each side. There you go.
Yeah.
So let's
Okay.
get back to our read, and we're still reading about the Heavenly Maiden, who is correctly the Virgin Light. And the Virgin Light. Let there be. Zorain is the original, but Zorain is the original Indo-Germanic, but it is let there be light. And we're trying to define things as they really are in our universe. Universe means one voice, one verse. Una for like unicycle, right? One wheel. Unicycle, universe. So it's one verse. It's one theme. It's the play of the one. Even though there is a duality, because we got two opposite ends in the division. We got the darkness and we've got the light, and we've got to learn to distinguish between one and the other. That's the great mystery. Okay, so now approaches wisdom, the virgin light, to the soul, and embraces it in the innermost essence with her sweetest love, placing her love as a sign of victory in its desires. And now Adam riseth again from the head in his illuminated parts in the Moeshiach. For it is the marriage of the, says lamb, but I also identify correctly as Yeshua, the Moeshiach as the ram. He's the Zav ram. And the Henman thoughts, etc. That's out of Rainier, so I don't know what that. I've never seen that word before. So anyway, that was a little bit here to share on the Heavenly Maiden, and the woman gets a bad rap, and so we need to show the positive side of what the woman really represents. That she is carrying the baby. I am so glad I'm a male, because I can't imagine what women have to go through to have babies. It's like, wow.
Neither can I, because I never had one.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to now. Not into this world.
Yeah, but they that's like a champion to me. If there ever was a champion, when a woman wants to have a baby, it's like, are you kidding me? You really want to go through all that stuff? But we know what it's about. It's about creating life, and so so for me as a guy, I can't appreciate what it's like to be a woman that is willing and happy to bring forth the baby and gets excited about it. A guy, he's thinking, geez, I'm so glad it's her and not me. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And Kip just sent me a text. Right on. Be there shortly. Okay, so Kip's going to come in. He said I had some questions. He had questions. So
cool.
I'd like to bring him on if we can.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay, so I'll read another one. Passover here is not too long. I guess I'll do one more. And let me think. Yeah, okay, we'll do one more. Passover. Okay, so a symbol, and of course the Passover is symbolic of what happened in Meitzar, falsely known as Egypt, and they had it was the death of the firstborn. And so there was a protection by the blood of the star rays, who are falsely called Hebrews. The Hebrew is actually the Av rays, and Av rays mean the star rays, because they were a ray of light coming down the pike, coming down the eye. See, there's the eye again, like the passage, like the mist, like the eagle. They're coming down the eye, which is the vein. The vein is divine. It's divine on the tree. Dezert-Owl was the vine on the tree, and they were going along for the ride. They were not as special people when they became Israel. When they became Israel, that's when this quality that we see in Zabrahim and Esha Ma'ul and Yaakov, not Esha Ma'ul, but Esha Yak, Isaac and Jacob, Yaakov, the seed of light. They represent the perfection that's in the Moshiach. But once they became Esha Re'ul, if we can get the picture, then they were represented as those who could not see. And what do we see with the 10 brothers that came right away after, right? They wanted to kill their own brother. They wanted to kill their brother. 10 of them wanted to kill innocent little Vole Shafei, Joseph. And so they represent then the watchers themselves that we're reading about again tomorrow night on Forbidden History Live. They represent the blindness that they had. So that's evidence that the terminology for Esha Re'ul Israel is the blindness. It implies that we have to work in order to see, because Esha Re'ul implies. Actually, I have it right here on the card. Israel for Esha Re'ul is the royal eye with the light of vision, or I guess it should mean for the light of vision. I'm not sure, because what's really profound is we see that Esha Re'ul, was blind, and so this is a rather has a double meaning behind it, and that's as it is with many of the Indo-Germanic words. A word, just by changing one vowel, could have an opposite meaning, and so there's so much that we've lost in this epic story, that we'll have to just be open to it and realize that, because clearly when he has the title Jacob, which is Yaakov, then which means seed of light. Well, you can't have a better title than being seed of light, all right? Seed of light. So Esha Re'ul become then in the metaphor the seed of darkness. Seed of darkness. So that's why when it said his eye was put out, it was really his eye that was put out. As Lampson clearly stated, I'm so glad, because I feel like the only one, who could see it. But he wasn't wrestling some guy all night long physically. He was wrestling inside himself and trying to connect with the one who made all things, and saying, "Please help me, my brother Esha Yak, Esha Yah, Esau wants to kill me." And so we see the duality here in this story, because then his eye is put out. Eye is a code. THIGH, TH for the letter I for the I, and then and here it is. I just answered my own question, because I was trying to figure out why, when he's got the word Esha Re'ul, which means the royal eye with the light for vision. In other words, they were given eyes to see. We were all given eyes to see. But what happened? And when it says that his eye was put out, and we know he didn't wrestle some guy. He didn't wrestle physically all night long. He was wrestling inside himself. And so then it said that his eye was put out. So in his wrestling, for some reason, his left eye went dim. Or it was his right eye. I'm not sure. We don't know. But one of them went out, and it's probably the one on the left, because that's symbolic right there. And so THIGH being a code of the priesthood, and I now have found it in other places, and in particular the Yahweh, the book of this Yahweh text I got on the first five books of Moses that I've been reading. And so it means that thigh, the I, and then GH at the end of it. We talked about GH being the symbol for return. So literally, the word thigh is a code for the eye of return. But then what did it say about the eye of the return? That his eye was put out. His eye, not his thigh, but his eye was put out. And therefore, so he gave him the name Esha Re'ul, but yet at the same time he's given a good name. The eye is put out. So it meant that Israel could not see out of that one eye, out of that left eye. And that's why when we see his 10 sons, they literally hate Joseph to the hill, who was born of the second woman, which was the first woman, but then the other duality. You have Leah, who is not preferred, but he gets her first. He didn't want her, but he got her first, and that represents the falsehood, the false church, with the 10 brothers that want to kill you. And then finally, at the end, Rachel, he gets to marry her, and then she has Volé Shafé. After the others have their babies, he comes number 11, then Benjamin after him number 12. And so there's our duality. That which is preferred in the beginning didn't come till the end. Are you getting the picture, Ninja?
Yes, I'm also seeing something else regarding thigh. Yeah. With the, you know how we were talking about the THY, I'm starting to think that that is all through the scriptures, because they're putting it in our face because of how you just explained it just then. Yes?
Yeah, and it also tends to go back to the word thy that you were referring to when I looked it up. Remember that there was something there.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, the THY.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
all
here's
through.
The
card right here.
Yeah.
Here's the card. Let me get it. And so from the Middle English Dictionary, and it means the eye. Thigh means the eye. I got it right here. And so I've known this for a decade or more, a decade and a half, you know. And then finally, I get the confirmation after all that time. And so this is you know, what we're sharing here. Of course, nobody is talking about, and it's just I pinch myself every day, you know, to realize what the Heavenly Father is doing with me to allow me to see the deepness of these allegories and these stories and the Eshabors that have been given to us, you know. And as you see, when I'm talking about the story, I try to use the original thought, and I trip up over myself a little bit because it's a work. You have to remember everybody's original title when we've been given the false ones, you know.
Yeah.
And you have to know the root forms. You have to know the root, the parent root forms, the corruptions, the code of the priesthood, and then the original Indo-Germanic. So it's a major deal.
Just wow. It's amazing, does it? Just wow.
Okay. So let's read about, hey what? 48, we started 10. Okay, I'll read. I feel like I'm almost got a pace. All right, I tell you what, why don't we take a break? I think that's what I need to do, and then I'll be feeling better again. Okay, so let's go to a musical interlude. We got Kip got to come down, hopefully, and I'll write his phone number down in the meantime. I'll go grab it, so if he wants to join us, we can three-way him in, all right?
Okay, sounds good.
Make it 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes. You can do 7 if you want. It's okay.
Okay.
All right? And thank you, Ninja.
No worries. Sorry, I'm just...
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
I'm looking for the 7-minute one.
Another line.
I've got no worries and I've got all good.
Okay. It's really bad out there. It's really bad. You know?
Oh, and wows and giggles. There you go. That's my other line.
All right. I'm going away. I'll see you in a bit.
Okay. I'd like to welcome any new listeners out there. You're listening to the Forbidden History Chronicles with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series and Forbidden History Live. What they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. We'll be back right after this short break. Okay, welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with NinjaCat 111 and Desert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. Welcome back, Desert. How's it going?
It's going. I better mute you out. We're going to get feedback here.
Okay,
right,
good idea. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Ninja. Well, I'm going to bypass reading that other definition right now because I've got a couple more things in front of me. I'm not sure how much further we're going, but I didn't want to leave off the New History of America, which I call the Forbidden History of America by the Informer, because I've been working my way through that. And Kip may be calling in. He said he was going to be calling in a bit, and then I know he had a series of questions, and it'll be great to indulge him and to go back and forth. I enjoy the interaction. And I've got to mute out for a second. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And so we're in the Forbidden History of America in Chapter 8, Protection of the King's Interest in America. Oh, so we're under the royal family control. That was King George III, I think. So we weren't there, so, how can we know? And we sure didn't have modern-day internet, where we didn't have, right? They controlled information, the newspapers back then, and publishing. The attorneys, what's interesting, the attorneys weren't allowed in the United States government until after the Civil War. So the attorneys just moved into town and just got jobs as publishers or worked in the post office. So they controlled the publishing of books, and they pilfered through the mail that shouldn't get somewhere, And,
Wow.
Yeah. That's how the network works.
Yeah. Would have been heaps easier to do that back then. Heaps easier to control.
Yeah. That's why they didn't want Lysander Spooner creating his own independent post office, because they would lose control. So that's why they took him down. I don't know the story, but basically they thwarted his effort to create a post office, And he was a smart guy and wrote several books, so check him out. He also wrote the book Vices Are Not Crimes, which was an important work to prove that people, just because they fall into alcoholism or become drug addicts of sorts, whether it's the opium dens, that vices are not crimes, and people that fall into addictions should not be treated as criminals because they have a problem, and so they should be helped, right? Helped, and if they want the help. So that's and it was a big book, as I remember it too. I read it while I was going through my ordeal. Read some of his stuff, Fortunately, I had a few people that sent me books. That's really important, And hey, Kip, good to have you. I'm going to read this little piece here. Then, if you want to call, I have to three-way you in if you're wanting to join us, but I can three-way you in after I read this segment here on the Forbidden History of America, okay, by the Informer. So I've got your phone number written down, so I can three-way you in if you're good. Just let us know in the chat, and good to have you listening in. And I assume you're on the road somewhere out there in America. And okay, so here we are, Chapter 8, Protection of the King's Interest in America. United States Article 6 protects the debt owed to the creditor king by each debtor colony. It protects the treaties of the colonies. It protects the treaties the colonies had with the king. It proves the works of James Montgomery that we are still under the control of the king by treaty. Article 6, U.S. Constitution. 1. All debts, contracted, and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid as against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. The King's money and debt is protected. 2. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, the Treaty of 1606 and 1782 made with the King, or which shall be made Jay's Treaty of 1792 with the King, under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. There was an ongoing debate, like with who was that who was going against the tax thing, and they finally put him in prison. Schiff. Irwin Schiff and out in Las Vegas, and he was always telling the Attorney General of or whoever, the governor, of Nevada, saying, "Okay, show me the law. Just show me the law where I have to pay taxes, please, and I'll be glad to pay him." And nobody could. He offered $5,000 to, and he had his own radio program out there. So finally, they got rid of him because he was too much of a nuisance. But there was that debate about shall, whether shall means may or must. Shall. And since it's the original word for law, which is sheltar, which means a shelter. The shelter is what is your protection, and then it became a shitar, which then became contract law by the Khazarian Jews. Then they corrupted it because they turned it into contract when it was natural law. That you are protected when you live a pure life and do the right thing. Then you are protected by the shelter of natural law. So shall,
Wow.
in my view, means
Sorry, just wowing.
must. That's all right. Must. And but anyway, shall be the supreme law of the land. So you see there, it's making a declaration. So if it's saying shall be the law, the supreme law of the land, then it means it must be, not may be the supreme law of the land, but it must mean must be the supreme law of the land, you see? And so that's, of course, even today, that in legal diction, then when you're dealing in court issues, they'll still use that word shall, and so shall do this, or so shall do this, and if anybody thinks it doesn't mean must, then you'll find out the hard way, And okay, where was I?
Can I just
okay,
add?
So let's back up.
Sorry, can I just add? While we're on Shell, just made me think of Shell service stations. I don't know if you have them over there, but we have Shell over here.
Oh yeah, that's
fuel.
a Dutch Royal.
Yeah.
That's a Dutch Royal corporation. Yeah, worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they're showing it the shell, and notice that they make it look like the sun.
Yes.
The sunshine,
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The sunrise. Yeah, the shell makes the sunrise. And so they're saying that they got power, and of course they do. They're tapping the sun energy of the earth, right?
Yeah.
That's what that symbolizes.
Yeah.
But the shell also means law, and so the Illuminatis would claim to be a law unto themselves, right? And that way, good to have you. Okay, welcome. So continuing. Shall be under authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, despite anything to the contrary. I should probably just read this over again.
Okay.
Section 2 on Article 4 U.S. Constitution, Part 2 here. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, the Treaty of 1606 and 1782, made with the King, or which shall be made Jay's Treaty of 1792 with the King, under authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. Despite anything to the contrary, treaties are part of the Constitution and reign supreme over all you, despite the fact that you have nothing to do with it. You said it's your Constitution, live with it, and don't complain. Okay, well, it's not my Constitution, I'm saying that. I have nothing to do with it. I wasn't there, and I don't have any. I've never put my pen to the paper, and so therefore they can have fun with it and leave me alone. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. So the judges are bound, and not shall be bound, but will be bound, will be thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. And I love that word, notwithstanding. That's one to study for a while. To prove these treaties are the law of the land, in quotes. To prove these treaties are the law of the land. Here is what the Hamilton versus Eaton, North Carolina, 641, 1796. Hamilton versus Eaton, second Mark 1 U.S. Circuit Court, June term 1796, had to say. Head note 5, besides the treaty of 1783 was declared by an act of assembly of this state passed in 1787 to be law in this state, and this state by adopting the Constitution of the United States in 1789. The declared the treaty to be the supreme law of the land. The treaty now under consideration was made on the part of the United States by a Congress composed of deputies from each state, to whom were delegated by the Articles of Confederation expressly, quote, the sole and exclusive right and power of entering into treaties and alliances, unquote. Being ratified, I love those rats, and made by them, it became a complete national act and the act and law of every state. If, however, a subsequent sanction of this state was at all necessary to make the treaty a law here, it has been had and repeated by a statute passed in 1787. Turn to the page. The treaty was declared to be law in this state, and the courts of the law and equity were co-joined to govern their decisions accordingly. And in 1789 was adopted here the present Constitution of the United States, which declared that all treaties made or which should be made under the authority of the United States should be the supreme law of the land, and that the judges in every state should be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Surely then the treaty is now law in this state, and the Confiscation Act, so far as the treaty interferes with it, is annulled. You know, it also fits an axiom that says that which is first is superior. That which is first in time is, legally first. And, so that's, now think about how the Illuminati, they formed, they claimed America on May 1st, 1776, right? And then we have our
May 1st.
Declaration of,
Sorry. May 1st. Yeah. I was born on May 1st. Yeah.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
You're not related to the Illuminati, are you?
Not that I know of. But...
Okay, just a coincidence. Anyway, so here they found claim America on May 1st, May being the supreme month, of course, as well. It's very symbolic in a natural law aspect. But, so they claimed America, the Illuminati, all those wonderful creeps. And then 2 months later, we have on July 4th, the 4th of the Jews' lie, we have our Declaration of Independence. The bankers playing their tricks on us, the Jewish bankers, and we claim, hey, and everybody's in the street singing. Well, privately, secretly, 2 months earlier, the Illuminati claimed America, you see? And so the question is, which one is correct? Well, it has to be the one that's first. Does that make sense, Ninja?
Yes, it does it?
Right. If I'm driving around in the automobile and you're looking at me, who's driving and who's looking? You like to have that car? Well, sorry, I'm in the car, I'm driving, I'm out of here. You like to have the car, but of course you can't say it's your car. You can't jump in after the fact and say, well, that's your car. No, it's my car. So that's what they did, you see. And so there's so many ways of looking at this dead dog, because that's what America really is. It's a dead dog, and there's no life in it because it's all based on fraudulent nature, So almost done here. So evidence that was stated by the same court that those that joined the state are those, in quotes, subjects, not sovereigns. Subjects, not sovereigns. Why? Because they're joining a phony political state. And the only true sovereignty, of course, is in the Moshiach, Yeshua. That's the only sovereignty. Because he made all things and he rules all things, and everything else he just lets go by, lets it happen, knowing that there's the price the pipe will be paid at the end of the line. So quote. Let me try this again. Evidence what was stated by the same court that those who join the state are subjects, not sovereigns. Quote, by an act of the legislature of North Carolina passed in April 1777, it was, among other things, enacted, quote, that all persons, that's a corporation and a fiction and a serpent when you rearrange the letter, being subjects of this state and now living therein, or who shall hereafter come to live therein, who have traded immediately to Great Britain or Ireland within 10 years last past in their own right, or acted as factors, storekeepers, or agents here or in any of the United States of America for merchants residing in Great Britain or Ireland shall take an oath of abjuration and allegiance, or depart out of the state. Okay. So what I told you, that the masses just traded kings and are now citizens, in quotes, don't want to be a citizen, that's a Zen kitty, a kitty Zen, slaves of the, no offense on it, okay.
Thank you, I was waiting for it.
A kitty Zen, right, of a state rather than the King of England. But it's all smoke and mirrors anyway. The declaration took you out from under the king, but left the people worse off. Yeah, they're in a state of fraud, of delusion, of illusion, of misrepresentation. Because they became the credit, the credit of the state to pay the king's money that the people were indebted to in the first place. And they said we had an independence, right? All a scam, because the Illuminati took over and first, and therefore made claim, and it was just another epic of the other epics that were here, because originally America was known as New India, and that's why they call the native peoples the Indians, because they never were Indians. But if they became slaves to the unseen hand that we talk about as the Hindu ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood, then we know, and there's a map. We're going to have to get that graphic somewhere. I don't know why I have it at the moment, but of New India, you know.
I think I have it. I just have, I have it on my phone. I have to find it, and I can't look for it while we're speaking.
Send a copy to Shelley also, okay, so we can get them on both networks, because this is like smoking gun, you know.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
When I saw that, and so you bet. Okay, thank you for that, Ninja. And
no
so,
worries.
all right, and I couldn't follow the notes here, but if Kip, you wanted to have me three-way in, do you have a cue or two that you want to engage us with, or have something you want to add to the program? Where you at? Let me look here. And Lynn is heading out. Thank you for...
No, Lynn just got back. She had to switch phones.
Oh, okay, she just got back. All right.
Yeah, so welcome back, Lynn. And I just want to say g'day to Kip and g'day to That Way.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining. Love you. Love all of you. I love you guys. Anyway, please please continue, Desert.
Okay, so I'll get into the New Testament, Old Testament light, and let Kip, he wants to listen for now. Okay, good enough, Kip. So I'll get into, let me get my other book. Hang on.
Okay.
You're supposed to whistle when I do that.
I can't.
What?
No, I'm not very. I've never been very good at whistling, except for where you have to stick your fingers and you do the wolf whistle. Why do they call it the wolf whistle, Desert?
All right. Just kidding, anyway. So
yeah.
Okay, so we're in. This is one of the great enigmas, of course, and it's the Garden of Eden. And so Lamsa, what I found with Lamsa, because they the Roman Empire, they took over the East and the West for the unseen hand. And so, as I pointed out, that they switched out the alphabet, and they've, took the original Aramaic alphabet, and they gave them the Demotic El Strangolo, which we see now today in the Syrian Bible, or the Aramaic, what we would call the Aramaic Bible. And so that's not really the Aramaic script. And it looks sort of like what is Pseudo-Sanskrit, or looks like Arabic, and you wouldn't want to learn it. And when you compare, and then you look back at our capital letters and what they really represent, you know that our what was called the Phoenician alphabet is clearly the original alphabet that they stole from those in the East, and they shoved down our throat form of legal diction and statutory jargon, and used to slave mankind. They made it their ship of state. That's why you see capital letters on the side of a ship, because it's on the Admiralty Sea now. It's a merchant code. They turned what was a free flowing sovereign form of communication, uncontrolled by anybody, into now a commercial code and in commerce, and also war diction. In the war, when they have war, they type all their letters in capital letter, all their letter. Doesn't that sound funny when you call the little thing a letter and then the big page a letter? So they write their letters in all capital letters. See, it's all capital symbols. They write their letters in all capital symbols. That's the way they said it back in the 1800s. They called them symbols, but they didn't want us to get picture, so now they call them letters. So which is the letter, the big one or the little one? The full page or the little unit, And so they said how the switch outs occur, just like what we call Sanskrit, which is demotic in India, is not really the Sanskrit. It is pseudo-Sanskrit, meaning it's not really Sanskrit, but they don't want us to know that what they call the Phoenician alphabet is the Sanskrit. We'll go figure, if it's Phoenician and they're landing on the beach, then they must be holding the true Sanskrit, right? If the Phoenicians are the merchants, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to write on the beach with straight lines. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Not with some squiggly, what we see in India or Arabic. You can't write Arabic in the beach on the sand, but you can with the straight lines in our modern day Phoenician alphabet. So I'm just, showing examples of the switch outs, the way they occur. Just like the word Eden is really atom, Atom, and looks like we have a new friend here, Flixfox or something like that. Anyway, welcome to the broadcast, and I'm going to get some new glasses here. Fix-It Fox. Okay, there you go, Fix-It Fox. Good to have you. And I want to welcome any of our new listeners to the broadcast today. We're trying to make lemonade out of the lemons that they give us, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not an easy deal, but we've been doing it. And if you want to go back and listen to some of our previous broadcasts, then by all means do that. And we will be on tomorrow night on Forbidden History Live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night. Okay, so we're trying to do a program a day basically around the clock, because it's real bad. It's real bad, and we have to find the key to the door to go back home. Okay, you remember like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, I want to go home. Okay, so we have to be able to see and read it for ourselves. And so the thing the real problem that we have, ladies and gentlemen, is, bottom line is, we don't know how to read, because we've been put under the spell, and the spell is not a real power. It is it's a grand illusion. And hey, Brenda, welcome, Brenda. I learned to the Ealer. I'm not sure how you say the last name. Forgive me, but welcome to the podcast. And but we have been put under the spell, and like I said, that's why they removed the word evangelion from what we call the four Gospels. It was evangelion, and that means the star message of enlightenment. The star message of enlightenment, and they converted it into gospel, and they're putting it right in our face. They're saying, hey, go spell. Go spell if you think you can. Go spell, because you can. Because we took over your mind when you were born. When you were in diapers, we put you in front of the television, or we created the government schools, and we educated you. And educate means that which they removed, because an ed is an editor. Editors remove things. They don't put things in on somebody else's text. They say, no, you can't write that. You take that part out and you can publish it. Okay? Yeah, go ahead. And so that's the deal. You see? And so it's we don't know how to read, and we have a legacy that's called the Indo-Germanic mother tongue, and instead they got us stuck in the Greek and Hebrew, which has been controlled by the priesthoods and the secret societies and the Roman empires, and so we've got to go back to the original. The original thought is the Indo-Germanic mother tongue, but nobody talks about. And hey, Charlotte Johnson, good to have you, and. We got some new people stopping in today. Can't get over it.
Yeah, have a look at we're in the double figures. Yay, Desert.
Yeah. Okay, well, welcome. So the point I was trying to make was, when I'm going to read the the Garden of Eden, I know that Lamsa, even though he was a genius and he gave us a translation of our scriptures that is, from the Eastern text, they wouldn't publish his Peshitta in the 1930s because they said no, George, sorry, we can't publish this here. If we do, it will destroy all of our modern translations, and so they said, let us rewrite it, then we'll publish it. We won't change everything, but most of it we will. And it's so that's what happened. He figured better let them publish it their way than not publish it at all. So that's what happened. So I'm reading some of the works of Lamsa, and I've been reading Lamsa for almost 40 years now. I've realized now that I've got this Old Testament light and the New Testament light books, and I'm comparing that Lamsa still, as good as he was, missed some things, and it's not to his discredit because we were all put under the spell. What does it say in Revelations, right? That that the beast system had deceived the entire world. Well, that's quite a deception. Deceive the entire world, right? I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
How many is that? That sounds like everybody, basically, right?
Yeah.
So it's a rare thing for somebody to break out of the mind of the spell, of the spelling that they put us under, because that's the foundation of what we talk about on this broadcast is the spell of their spelling, and once you can see and read it for yourself, once you know how to spell correctly, based on Indo-Germanic, based on their corrupt code, their secret code that destroyed our Ashavors, which is the original word for word. Like it says, in the beginning is the word, but then when you go to the Greek, it said was the word. Wait a minute, not is, was. Like they don't want it anymore. Like it's no longer in existence. What? And but in the beginning is the word correctly. And the if we corrected the King James a little bit, not was the word, is the word. But then in the Greek it says in the beginning was the logo, should be is the logo if we were going to use that word. But actually, neither one of them is correct. Put an S in front of word, you get sword. S. And then, so sword is a logo. We could say a sword as a symbol. And then the flaming sword that points in every direction that we see in Genesis. Well, wait a minute. That's the sun. That's the sword, that flaming sword that points in every direction. And correctly, it is in the Indo-Germanic. It is in the beginning is the Ashavor. And Ashavor means the royal eye at the center. Well, what is the royal eye at the center? It is the sun. It's the light. In the beginning, it said, let there be light. Okay, that's the beginning. And everything came out of the light. Our translations are corrupt. I've talked about it many times in the past, and we'll do it again in the future if you stay with us. And Jim Saw, good to have you as well on the broadcast today. And so we must be finally getting an algorithm because we got more new people today than we've had Ninja. So something must have finally clicked on the tube. It's no longer you, if you know what I mean, but the tube finally clicked somehow. And great. Okay, so we got or I know Kip has done a wonderful job of trying to promote us. And
Yeah,
Kip
Kip made a little video like during the stream. So
I'm a fellow truck driver on the broadcast here.
Yeah, thank you, Kip.
For talking over you.
And sorry, and g'day, Jim. How's it going? Yeah, welcome everybody.
So I try to qualify this because this is the hardest thing to wrap your mind around. But when you go read Genesis again, first and second chapter, you'll realize that there are two gardens. Ladies and gentlemen, there's the upper garden and the lower garden. The upper garden is the sun, the garden of light, the garden of atoms. And that is correctly, or as the misnomer is, the Garden of Eden. Okay, so I don't know what Lance is going to say here, but we'll find out. But this is the major part. You have to know, what did it say when Adam fell asleep? It said that he was taken out of Eden and placed in the garden. Okay, and so that's after he named all things. He named all things on earth as they came to be over a long period of time. Not the false narrative they gave us 6 24-hour periods. This is the priesthood. What I tried to claim here for the new listeners is that priesthoods from the beginning have controlled our scriptures. Okay, they were written purely and with pure intent, and with great revelation and a connection with our origin, who we are, where we are, when we are, and why we are. But now what has taken over is the beast system. Our script Revelation says it clearly that they control our scriptures, and that there are those who would call themselves Israel who are not Asher-Reul. Israel correctly is Asher-Reul, and they are not Asher-Reul. And because Asher-Reul was dissolved, banished, kicked out, nada, no more, bing, bang, bada, bing, get out of here. Because you sold out. You sold out. And so they were banished. The first 10 tribes were decimated into the four corners of the earth. And then finally Judah also, was gone. So there is no Israel. Right? Israel is the pseudo-Israel. They're the great pretenders. And it's the greatest show on earth. And Israel makes the SS stormtroopers of Nazi Germany look like Boy Scouts, and compared to what Israeli military do, and not to mention they took down the Twin Towers and murdered in one 2-hour period 3,000 souls out of New York. Okay, so anyway, so back to the Garden of Eden. We're in the book Old Testament Life by George Lamson, and I just thought I'd throw this primer out today because we have some wonderful friends stopping by. And so it says here, and the Lord God, and of course Lord God would be Yahweh, who is the great bull of Haim. And now when you hear me read, for our new listeners, when you hear me read, boop, boop, boos, boos, booba, boos, boos, good to have you, okay? And when you hear me read, I'll transliterate as I go. So Lord God, who's Lord God? Well, that's not in our original. Lord is English, and it means our mother, Middle English, it means our mother who gave us our bread. So the question is, who's the mother? But when we go into the Hebrew, then we find they use the word Adonai, but they replaced the word Yahweh with Adonai. Okay, what are they doing? Replacing our words, And so Lord is not Adonai. You see, all of these things happen out. But Adonai backwards is India, and there's the clue, ladies and gentlemen, that our world is being run from the east. The west is the mind control state. First was Europe, now it's America, and this is all that we talk about in the Forbidden History. And I'm just trying to give you a short capsulization of a lot that we deal with here, if you can deal with it, okay? And so Lord God, so who's God? So God is the Pope, actually, but it's because they replaced it, and interesting, it's dog backwards, and there's the evidence of the priesthood, because the priests are the dogs, and the pre-Masons are the dogs that do the bidding of their master. The Pope says, go infiltrate my Jesuit son. Oh, yes, sir, master. And the Jesuit priest goes in and infiltrates and does their damage. They're running all the bullpits, and all the the Freemasons and Jesuits run and the Illuminatis are like the Schulers and the Pat Robertsons, and it's the greatest show on earth, ladies and gentlemen. What entertainment we've been given. If we can only see that the joke's on us, and then we can be set free. So, and the Lord God, that is Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, planted a garden. Garden is Genun, the Genun, and there's the word gain, because if you grow a garden, you have a harvest of gain out of the garden. The gain noon, at high noon, that's the garden then of the atom that I'm talking about at high noon that we see every day. It's always at high noon. Eastward in the Eden. East in the Eden, well, what is in the east? It is the sun. You see, we have to read it correctly here, because they've done such a great job of feeding us their papal bull. But Eden is the atom. It's the garden of atoms in the light. And there he put the Eshan, whom he had formed. So that's where he put Adam. After there was nothing here but water and land. Nothing here. And it says that he made Adam. And then he took Adam and placed him in the Eden, which is the atom, the sun. And from there, they made all things. All life was generated on earth through the atomic light particles and the great miracle of Yahweh and Yeshua, his only loved seed. So Lamsa says here, and that's Genesis 2:8. Genesis correctly is Genon, Ganesha. Genesis is Ganesha. In the Indo-Germanic, they abbreviated all the words, they corrupted all the words, and they got us speaking their pig Latin. Okay, it is quite a work and a walk and a whack to learn all this. Okay, so the term Eden, which correctly would be Adam, Lamsa says, is derived from Eden, or a movement. Well, the sun moves through the sky, so you see there's a tip-off right there, and we have to. Let me get my highlighter, because that is important. It's a movement, and it moves through the sky, or a season as well, and that of time. It also means pleasant, and the light is beautiful. And what does it bring forth? And then also delight and also temporal. That's rather interesting, isn't it? All those things come out of that word. And also temporal, because everything that has a beginning has an end. And so everything in this universe is temporary, okay? And it starts with the light. It starts with the sun, of course. Material pleasures are delightful, but they are temporal. The author of Ganesha, misnomered as Genesis, places the location of the garden. Yeah, and so you see, that's the thing, because nobody gets that the atom is the Eden. Just like, I'll give you another example. We hear about Edom, right? Edom, and and we find out that's what the place that Esau named Edom. But then we find out when he killed Nimrod in the book of Jasher, and then he gets the clothing, the coat worn by Adam, the first Aryan father, that he goes and founds Edom, and yet notice these play on words, Eden and Edom. Okay, start getting the picture, because he names the place Adam on the east side of the Jordan, which is today also known as Petra. That's part of the region. It goes all the way to Arabia, all the way further north. So that's so it's not Edom, it is Adam. Clearly, if he's sold his birthright, and then he kills Nimrod and gets Adam's clothing that was made in the beginning by Yahweh, certainly he would want to claim the heritage of the first parent, and therefore call the place Adam. And so then we see the corruption of the word again. We find out that Herod is running now, took over the sovereignty, so to speak, of Jacob, right? And now we've got what's called an Edomite. So they changed the E in Edom to an I in Idumean. You see, so we could never get the picture unless you were studying the scriptures deeply. You would not even know there was a connection. But Edomite is Idumean of Herod is really Edom, but Edom is the corruption, and it's Adam. Okay, Adam. And so this is how the switch outs occur. And so you can never follow the trail back. Never. Not unless you're listening to Forbidden History, and then maybe you'll be able to get the picture. Because we spell it out right here, and we break the spell of being under the spell, of misspelling, of corrupt terminology, ladies and gentlemen. So let me continue here. So the author, so what's happening is, they're actually looking for Eden on earth. Well, wait a minute, there's two gardens. If Eden is on earth, and then Adam is placed in the lower garden, where's the lower garden? You see, the lower garden is down here, and that's the distinction. There's two gardens, and there's the Garden of Light and the Garden of Darkness. So you got a choice, and it's an amazing world, ladies and gentlemen. And dear Cam, good to have you. I want to welcome our new listeners to the broadcast today. And so the author, so they have people looking in Tigris and in Mesopotamia, which originally is Padamaram, and they changed that name also, I think, from Seir. I have to even go back and check my notes. There's so much to remember with all the switch outs that they've done. That's how they played the game, is by the switch outs. So you can't follow the trail. But I want original words, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you do too, because that's what we talk about here with the Indo-Germanic mother tongue. So continuing, so the two, even when Lance has fallen into the false narrative, I think I would just bypass this. So let me see here. So I'm going to bypass that paragraph there and go, this is why the region was called the Garden. Yeah, okay, well, he's talking about Kurdistan, and that they were calling it the Garden of Eden because of all the fruits that were growing up there in the foothills of the Caucasus Mountains. But, so Lamsa also fell into the false narrative that Eden was on Earth. And so you have to see and read it for yourself. If you have a comment or a question and want to join in, we can certainly take your call, okay? And the number, I think, has been given out already up there. So just scroll up, and Lynn gave that out. Thank you, Lynn, for your help, all right? And so let's go to New Testament light. We have no original scriptures, ladies and gentlemen. That's a fact, okay? So the only thing we have are copies of copies. And then when they change it from Aramaic into Hebrew or Aramaic into Greek, and what do they call the Hebrew text? They call it Masoretic text. Well, Masoretic, and they call themselves up in Switzerland the Masorites. These are the Jews, right? The banking. Go put two and two together. Banking Jews, Masorite. And what's the original word for Egypt? Because Egypt, the word is only about 350 years old. Go look in the Oxford Dictionary, and you'll find out that the original word for Egypt is Matzah. And so they're calling on themselves Masorites, and the Old Testament, Old Covenant, Masoretic text. So that's the code word then for the Egyptian text. So I thought we left Egypt. I thought when they came out that they left Egypt behind, but apparently Egypt has followed us all the way to the modern 20th century, and it's on the back of a dollar bill, and is also controlled by the Jewish Zionist Front, and it's called the Masoretic text. And so do you think really that the Jews that hate Yeshua, that follow the Babylonian Talmud, that consider us goyim, they would really give us a pure translation? Okay? I don't think so. So let's go into New Testament light and see where we're at here with Lanza. So, yeah, I'm not surprised, because it said that they deceived the entire world. And it's a miracle that we have stumbled on the truth here with the Indo-Germanic and what the Great Father of Light has shared with me, ladies and gentlemen. I had a mountain experience 40 years ago, so I'm just coming out of the wilderness after 40 years, and finally it's all come together, and you will hear it if you follow us on this broadcast. And do tell your friends, won't you, because we're trying to have a revolution in thinking. And anything I talk about, you're welcome to come on and ask a question. Okay, Desert, how do you get that? Because I can define these words by their very singular symbol. Okay, every symbol in the Eshavor, in the word, creates the Eshavor, creates the word, creates it, and so it's a deep science. Okay, and so therefore it's not like, oh yeah, I just drew these letters together, and they look pretty good. No, it's a science. Okay, and it's an exact science that you can learn, you can know. Okay, and so that's what you'll find out if you keep following. Ninja's getting it, and Lynn gets it, and they've been following, and they're using the Eshavors. The Asia. Why is Asia on a map, by the way? The big continent's got the word Asia right there in your face, and then there's the Asia Minor. Well, I always thought Asia Minor meant like the little Asia, right? But no. Don't you know what a menorah is? A menorah is the menorah, right? And it means the light of Asia. The light of Asia. Okay, so what is the light? So Asia Minor then means the royal eye, the light of the royal eye. The light of the royal eye is Yerushalayim. Jerusalem was the royal eye. It was at the center of the Silk Road. It was the crossroad between Africa and Asia and Europe, okay, and India. And so this was a royal center. Asia Minor, the light of the royal eye. But the light of the world, that's what Yeshua said. You are the light of the world, right? Well, that's what Yerushalayim was supposed to be. But instead it became a whore of darkness, okay? And so what's the Asia on the big map? If it's a royal eye, well, because if you think you're going to go across that giant continent, which is nothing but a desert, and across the North Tibetan Plateau and down onto the eastern side and cross the Gobi Desert, and go through Mongolia and all that, you're not gonna do it unless you got a royal eye, because a royal eye can see the eye of the trail, and so that's why it's called Asia, because it's not the name of the continent. It had to do with the Silk Road. It's the Asia Trail, what they call the Silk Road, but it's the royal eye, because if you're not a star navigator, if you can't follow the stars, then you can't follow you're going to get lost out there and die. You don't know where the water is, how to find the water, So that's where this word Asia comes from. It's in our face, just like the word gospel, but you never were told that it meant you're supposed to go spell these words and find out that it's all Pig Latin and that there are original words. And so the same with the Asia, it's the same deal. In the beginning is the Asia Bor, the royal eye at the center, and it's symbolized by the sun, the great logo. And I'm rambling here because I know we got a lot of new listeners today, and I'm trying to cover a lot of ground of what we talk about, so you're not going to be totally out wondering where does the desert get
Thank you, Desert. Thank you. I love your rambles.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's great to have some new friends coming in and that actually want to hear something they'd never heard before because
Yeah.
although we hear the same old thing over and over and over like a worn out record, and it's pig Latin. And I mean, how can we use words that are not the original? How can we get away with it and think that we're going to transcend when it clearly says in First John 2:27, the truth is not a part of any lie. And if you're using false terms, then you're using a false narrative, and that's as good as and is a lie. You know, it's a deception. So let's get back to original. Okay, so 16 here, demons cast out. This is an interesting one. Demon. The only time you're ever going to see the word demon is when somebody has a mental condition, because it means literally two words, demon, of the moon, because the moon has an effect on our psyche. So people think that demons are something that fly around through the air and enter your body, and they don't get it that it is it means it's in reflection to the moon. Okay, in reflection to the moon, just like on the full moon, more people start fires around the world on the full moon because their psyche's been affected. The woman's menstrual cycle operates on the moon. Our emotions operate on the moon. Our sexual urge is also affected by the moon. That's the demon. And so we cast out the control, and it represents, of course, the lower world. Then at the same time, that's why they follow the lunar cycle, because what's in the darkness, the moon is in the darkness. Yeshua came to bring us the light. Okay, so here it says, and if I by Beelzebul cast out the adversary. The adversary is really the flesh, of course, because the spirits that are in the flesh seem to have a profound psychopathic agenda to destroy you and to destroy our world. And if I by Beelzebul cast out the dark natures, the adversary, by whom do your offspring cast them out? Therefore they will be your judges. Matthew 12:27. The term "your children," in quotes, Lamsa says here, in this instance means your people. Okay, your people. And the Judeans had many men and women who acted as healers and who cast out the adversary, that is, restored the insane to sanity. The Hebrew star navigators, not prophet, the word prophet became the interloper for star navigator, and then they wanted to make a prophet all the time, and they sure have, haven't they, today? But it's star navigators. So the Hebrew star navigators healed the sick, cleansed the leper, and even raised the dead centuries before Yeshua. They all performed these miracles in the royal title of the Yahweh, who is the great bull of Haim, that's Lord God, and not in the title of Beelzebul, the Lord of the flies, the prince of the dark natures, of the adversary, the Beelzebul, the beetle, and the bull. Yeshua contradicted the charge of the Pharisee and silenced them when he told them that one of the adversaries should cause a man to be sick and another should heal him. The kingdom of the adversary would be divided against itself. In other words, the forces of darkness cannot perform the action of light, nor the forces of light perform the actions of darkness. A clear distinction. Left, right. Yeshua's healings were done by the power of Yahweh, who is the great bull of Haim, who had sent him to proclaim the star message of enlightenment, heal the sick, and open the eyes of the blind. Yahweh, who is the great bull of Haim, would not grant this power to men of darkness. And that's a sample of George Lamsa out of the New Testament life, but it's not New Testament, ladies and gentlemen. It is another misnomer. It is the everlasting covenant. Kavanun, which is for covenant. Okay? So we've just got all kinds of things messed up in our diction, and we've got to get it back, and so that's what we do right here on the broadcast. And so I'm pretty well spent out for today, unless somebody out there has a comment or a question. And, and if you put, that's us. That's us in true form right there, Ninja. Thank you. And, but if you are going to post a question on the chat, then always put my name in capital letters, okay? Desert, Dezert. That way I'll see it, and then just use small letters for your question, and I'll be looking up every now and then while I'm reading. And I want to, so grateful that so many people took the initiative to step in today and check us out, and do like and subscribe if you would. And okay, so Kip, I can't take your call. I have to three-way you in. So when this ringing stops, I will three-way. And Ninja, you may have to call me back because my feature may have dropped when the call comes in. I'll see here real quick.
Okay,
And,
yeah, just
so
hang up, and or I don't know how.
No.
I can't remember how we did
you
it.
Don't have to. No, you don't have to. Okay, I see it. I got it.
Okay,
so let me
good.
call Kip. I'll bring him in. So Kip, if you're listening, stand by. All right, I'm going to three-way you in, and let's see if I can do this right. 816. Oh, I'm not giving it out here. Sorry.
We're very high tech here.
Yeah, we're high tech here. They got all the money. We don't have any money, but we do get it done on a song, a week, and a prayer. And you are our prayer, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by for the broadcast. Let's bring on Kip. Ninja, I'll be back when he picks up. Okay.
Okay, so I'm not going to do a song and a dance because it's in the AMs here in Australia. I just want to welcome all our new listeners. This is awesome,
Okay.
and thank you, Kip.
We got Kip on the line.
Yay, g'day, Kip.
brother,
How's
how
it
you doing,
going?
Well,
Good, Linda. How are you?
doing all right.
Wow.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to just call in real quick and just say thank you. Sorry for dropping that on you. You did a good job focusing. And, man, just, hey, thank you for
It's so cool.
all the subscribers that came by from my channel. I love you guys. Seriously, best subscribers ever. Desert, man, I love what you're doing. Ninja, I love what you're doing. I just wanted to call in and say thank you, and I love you guys, and this has just been a real blessing going down this rabbit hole. So thank you guys. I love you guys.
Well, you notice there's a lot to get out, Kip. When I saw a lot of new listeners today, it was like, okay, I can't just do my normal presentation because there's so much ground to cover in the great odyssey of the grand illusion and the deception that's been thrown upon us, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Next time I'll try and give you a little more heads up, but maybe we can coordinate that and I can just run a quick video and so that way you're more prepared.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Not that you weren't prepared, but I mean, you weren't maybe ready for that. We had probably an extra 10 or 15 people. I think the video got like 25 views already, so.
Oh, yeah, no, this was actually a real treat.
Yeah, it was a nice
we're very
surprise.
And we're limited on our ability to promote. We're just counting on the algorithm with their
Right.
tube, and it's no longer saying their tube.
Their tube, I like that. Their tube.
It used to be YouTube, but not anymore.
Yeah,
So we're just trying to make lemonade out of the lemons they gave us, and I've been doing. When I got into political activism is when I started getting offers to get on broadcasting on radio to be interviewed, and then it just I was given airtime, always given to me. I never had to. That's how the Heavenly Father, prepared me for this mission here, because it just everything opened up. The Midas touch, so to speak, and therefore I was in the political activism part of it. I wasn't talking spirituality at the time. I was doing that privately, but then after I got done, figured out that the political, merry-go-round was another loser, and because America never stars once I discovered the truth, then I took that talent that I was learning in broadcasting, having my own radio program called America's Driving Force. It was a truckers program. My first radio program was a truckers program. If you didn't know that, the America's Driving Force, and I was trying to round up the 7 million truck drivers that are out there, that to go and carry every commodity under the sun, go underground, ex-military, all of that, and so I just ended up, taking that experience and then applying it to doing law programming, then ultimately, coming here to the final phase. This is my final phase of broadcasting, which is what's most important is about our spirituality wrapped up in the forbidden history, what they didn't want you to know, that we tell right here.
Amen, man. Thank you so much. And that's, with me really becoming awake a little over a year ago, that's been the main thing. It has really brought me back around to how small I am and in search of Creator God, and I say God still, it's layman's terms. I don't even know how to spell his real name yet, I'm still in that process, so.
just try stop saying good morning, okay? Wishing people they had a death in their family.
Say g'day.
You know?
G'day instead.
You can't do it. It's hard.
Right. Well, hey, I'll jump off here. Desert, NinjaCat, love you guys. Everybody else, we'll talk to you soon, man. Have a great day, Desert.
All right, Kip.
Thank you, Kip. Love you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ninja. Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right. Well, that was great. Matthew Blackman stopped by, and so thank you, Matthew. Kip has a wonderful group of friends that he's been hanging out with for a long time, obviously, and we certainly hope all of you will come back, and check this out some more. Go look at some of our recordings, and we're also going to be here broadcasting again. Our next broadcast will be on Friday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the other channel that we broadcast from, my channel, basically, and with Yosh Shelley, our engineer, and that's Forbidden History Live, okay? And we do take callers. We're actually trying to get a caller-generated program, and thank you for subbing, Matthew, as well. So, yeah, we want to get a caller-generated program, and to try to, from my standpoint, with my deep study, what I've gone down, and I'm a translator now. We have the Original Thought Transliteration Project, and I'm trying to bring forth the evidence of the original diction, which is the Indo-Germanic mother tongue, aka Aramaic, the original Aramaic, not Hebrew, not Greek. They stemmed out of it. And the question is, why is it hiding? Why is it, the evidence only stopped at Sumer, and then they changed all the narratives from Sumer and want people to think that aliens are coming down, and they've been doing the same thing. They've got to control the narrative. They've created a false narrative because all of these writings they found in Sumeria, all the tablets have already been deciphered. I also talk about, read out of the dictionaries of Waddle and on the Aryan origin of the alphabet and the Sumerian Indo-Germanic alphabet dictionary I've got here. I got numerous Indo-Germanic dictionaries and every dictionary in between, from Webster of 1828 to Wild out of 1933 from England, and then of course the big Oxford, the big Kahuna, took 40 years to produce, and it's a $400 plus dictionary, and
wow.
Then all the I mean, this has been. I love words, and I love following the trail on words. I was studying the legal diction as well, and the first meaning, Confucius said that the first meaning of a word is superior. So whatever an Aishavor was in the beginning is still the original meaning. We have to go back to the original because it reveals the light. Okay, that's where the light is at the beginning. And so the modification or the alteration of Aishavors or words throughout time is the corruption. Just like the Blackflow Dictionary, every edition, they change the legal meaning of a word, and words are not supposed to change in meaning. That's why in Kurdistan, in particular, the eastern Iraq, the people are still speaking the same Aramaic, virtually word for word, Aishavor for Aishavor, as Yeshua was speaking 2,000 years ago. That's where lamps came from. And the people in the Western Aramaic side, they call Syriac, but Syriac is Greek for Aramaic, or Aramean. Okay, they're not Syrians, they're Arameans. And see, by continually changing these words, we don't get the picture of who these people really are. Okay, and so we've got to sift through it. You got to sift, just like the Lake of Galilee and was also known as the Lake of Tiberias, was originally the Ganal. And I'm doing this off the top of my head, without pulling out the dictionary. But Genezareh, the Lake of Genezareh, and there's the Gan Nazareth. There's the word for Nazareth for the Nazarite priest, but Nazarite is a little corruption. Nazareth, like it was breathed into the nasal, because the breath of life was breathed into the nasal, and they were the Nazareth, the ray of light coming back out of what was breathed into us. And the Gan Nazareth is the garden of the Genezareth. So literally by identifying the Lake of Galilee as the Genezareth, that implies that this is the foundational area where the very first ones came. Okay, the very first Aryans lived, and they lived in the Padamagram, or what is then as the Greek is Mesopotamia, and the land between the two rivers. the word Abraham. Here, and let me just give you a few things you've not heard real quick. What I've been revealing here on the broadcast, like the word Abraham. It was I discovered the truth a week before I found it in the book. I finally saw it. That the word Abraham. I finally said, wait a minute. Abraham, who becomes Abraham, which, as we see in the Hebrew, they like to say Abraham, and then therefore Abraham, Abraham, is correctly. Well, Abraham means star ram. Okay, and then we were just missing a little letter in front with the T and the Z, and then we've got it. It's the Zavram. What I point out on the broadcast is that they have abbreviated all of our words. All of the H Shabors have been abbreviated, and that's the trick they played on us. Look at those small little words. Like right now, just go do the research. Look in, look up the word Lot. Look up the word Lot in the Strong's Concordance, and you'll find out his name is not Lot. It's Lotan. Lotan. Well, it sounds like Latin. Maybe that's why they abbreviated it, because it's got a similar spelling. Just change one vowel. And what's going on with that? What is the deal? And so this is the game. So literally Abram. So what I learned was I finally concluded that the name Avram, is not his name. It is his title. Okay, it is the title of a head of a tribe, of a people, and that's what he was, of course, right? And so then I find a deal on Erdman's Bible dictionary, right? And I'll go in there and I look up Abram, and there it says it right in there that Abram is not his name, but it is a title, his being the head of a tribe. Okay, and so then when he becomes, so there's the word. Therefore, what is the word? Avram being correctly with the Z in front of it, the power letter. Zavram, it means he is the sovereign. That is where the word sovereign comes from, ladies and gentlemen. And therefore, it's also connected with the word the Brahmin, because as you know, Abraham sounds like the Brahmin. What's the connection there? Because it is the word sovereign, and the Brahmins are also claiming in India to be the sovereigns. They're the sovereign Aryans of the unseen hand that have been running the world from the beginning of the legacy of the Aryan race. So this is all the stuff that they've hidden from us, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're revealing on this broadcast, and sure love to have you come on by and tell your friends about it, okay? Because we're spilling all the beans that we can about this legacy that has been stolen from us, and I'm doing it as best I can. Is that a question there? Are we not in black? Okay. Brenda has a question. Are we not in a black hole? Let me think about that a second. In a black? Well, we are. We're in a big giant black hole. It's called the universe. It's one giant black hole, right? Is that? I don't know what other black hole you're referring to. Like people talk about wormholes, but I keep telling everybody, theory is not science. Okay, theory, is well, maybe, could be.
Desert, can I jump in there? Sorry, can I jump in?
What? Well, I just wanted to say that the only wormholes that exist are in people's minds. You see, and that's a fact. So go ahead, Nancy.
When I saw that, what came to mind was this world. This world is in darkness, which is black hole.
Well, the world is in darkness, right? We could call, if we want to use a metaphor, we could say the Earth is a black hole because, as I said, there's an upper garden,
bottomless pit.
Is the sun.
Yeah.
That's the original Eden. That's the atom, and then the lower garden is a place of darkness. The Earth is a place of darkness. So sure, the Earth is a black hole.
Yeah.
It's also known as the bottomless pit.
That's what. Yeah, I just said
pit,
that.
There's no bottom, except for, according to flat earthers. They're the exception. They think the Earth doesn't have a bottom, but it's a bottomless pit. It's because it's all round. It's all surface. And then it said, that's when it said that the ancients were bound here. The Malik, the royal messengers, not angels, because angels is an interpolated word. It's not the original. The Malik were put here in chains of darkness. So there you go. So put here in the chains of darkness, where in the bottomless pit. Well, the bottomless pit is not some smoking pit somewhere. It is the bottomless earth is a pit. The earth is a seed, like the sun is a seed in the metaphor. It's a bottomless pit. And who are the watchers? bound here in chains forever, the ones who sold out their birthright, the ones we're talking about. We're concluding it tomorrow night on Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Forbidden History Live. We're doing part 4 of of the ancient Watchers. Watchers is a corruption. It's Vicar, Vicaresh, and we see the vicars are still there today in the Vatican. They're using the word for watcher. The vicars are the watchers, and so they know these words, and they're just pulling our string and closed our eyes. We're classically the Walking Dead because we're asleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. And they want us to sleep, ladies and gentlemen. So it's time to wake up and hear the forbidden history. Okay, so if there's no further questions, Ninja, I'm getting talked out here today. We've been on for almost 3 hours, I guess. So
yeah, we have nearly. Yeah.
Okay, so anything on your end, or on all for any further questions here, real quick before we head on out? I'd be happy to take another one.
Nothing from me. Just wows. Constant wows. I'm overwhelmed and amazed. Thank you, Kip, for telling your friends. That's what we're constantly saying here. Tell your friends. Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you to Matthew. Matthew gave a very nice statement there. I'm not. I just want to qualify for our new listeners. I'm not smart enough to figure this out, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Heavenly Father, who inspired me to climb a mountain 40 years ago, Mount Whitney, the tallest peak in the contiguous United States. And then, I came down, and everything changed. My paradigm changed within a week. And I saw into the words for the first time. And so I've been pursuing this all of my life. I was transliterating as I read 40 years ago. I knew the problem, but I didn't know the answers. And I had to become a scientist in the science of etymology, lexicography, and symbolism in particular. And so as a linguist, and so I have all the dictionaries. I read them with a passion, and I'm excited about discovering the original thought, because it is the road back home. Why did they have to work overtime and change the age of wars to change the words? What is the deal? Well, maybe the whole deal is, since they're bound here in chains of darkness forever, and they're not going back. Well, I think it's quite obvious that we can see with 600 different versions of Christianity which one is the real one when it said there's only one Lord, one faith, and one baptism. We got Baskin-Robbins, 600 flavors. Well, I guess the bottom line is that since they're not going back, they don't want any of us to go back either. So they got us on the merry-go-round of deception, of false narrative, and go spell if you think you can, ladies and gentlemen, because you can't. You never learn how to read because they controlled you from government schools from the cradle to the grave, and got you watching their boob tube and all the boobs and all the the stuff they put on the boob tube, right? From your diapers, cartoons with violence and and everything else, and perpetual war. I love that one, perpetual war. And they put it in the canon. The canon is the original word for the ganon. So the canon is the ganon. That's the word for garden. So that's the big garden. And so their idea of the garden is warfare, and you see it in the word flower, because flower is, listen to the word, it's right on the surface, the flow of war.
Yep.
Isn't it sweet?
It's lovely.
Flow of war, the flower. See?
Yeah.
So they and the V for virgin is put on the side of the Bradley tank and on the side of all the military, right? The V.
Yep.
For victory. For virgin, light that comes down. Oh, I see. So you see, there's a lot. Forbidden history is a big one, obviously, ladies and gentlemen. And so if you wanna hear more, then come on back here. NinjaCat, when are we on?
We are on this channel every Monday and Fridays now. We did a day early this week, but the new schedule is Mondays and Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time US, which is midnight Mondays and Fridays, Eastern Standard Time, Aussie time, Australia time. Translation. And please subscribe to Forbidden History Live and the Forbidden History series. Desert's currently broadcasting on Forbidden History Live, and if you go back to June 21st last year, 2018, you can catch up, and that's Desert's original channel, and it's amazing. So please go check it out. Yeah, amazing Desert. You can keep going if you want. I'm quite happy to.
Okay.
Quite happy to.
I think we with the wrap. I don't see any further questions looking at me, so I'm feeling it. We got another broadcast tomorrow. We're going to cap off who the Watchers are. They were not some creatures with wings on their back, that fly through the air. They were the Aryans. They were flesh and blood people. It takes flesh and blood to mate with flesh and blood. The children of Cain were the redhead spotted. In the beginning, they were called the Celtic. That's the technology to kill. Killing technology. Kill. Okay? Celtic technology to kill. And they used the battle axe to conquer the world and to craft a ship. And we see it in the fasci. The word fasci is the original word is fascia. There's the face of the sun. The fascia is the face of the sun. That's the battle axe, okay? And you see that on the speaker's podium on both on the right and the left side in Washington. And so they're claiming to be the merchants of the world, the ones that crafted the ships, conquered the world. It's a piracy. It's the emerging sea. The word emergency is another cyber code for the emerging sea, the Admiralty Sea that encroached upon the land. Word trickery, craft. Craft means treason in Middle English, and the trees' son are the trees' sons, the ones who cut down the trees and crafted the ships to do commerce and trade, and they became the traders working behind the scenes as the double agents in all nation states. Okay, so we can talk about words anytime. Keep bringing on, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be doing more broadcasting until they pull our plug. In the meantime, we're going to say it like it is. So I'm Dezert-Owl, thanking you for tuning in. And don't forget, if you want to know the future, just look for the forbidden history, because it's all right here. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell, because somebody's got to do it, right? Ninja?
Yes, Desert. Exactly.
Exactly
right.
And I'll look for you tomorrow night. I'm sure you'll stop by. And thank you. And thank you, Kip, for sharing the word, spreading the word with all of your wonderful friends and your partners there on YouTube. And hope to talk more with you. And always give us a road report if anything is sighted out there. We're good to go. All right? So I'll let you go, Ninja. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you, Desert. It was amazing. Okay, that's all for now. We have been going for 3 hours, just about. I'm all wowed out, and Desert's all talked out. So yeah, what Desert said, please tune in. The next broadcast is on Forbidden History Live. Love you guys. Thank you again, Kip. I know we've said it already, but thank you again. It's been amazing. Yeah, and I'll be sure to go through the chat later on and sub all of you guys that have just joined. You really appreciate